Yesterday on Twitter, there was a big dust-up because former presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg had observed what is common sense in America, that racism is ingrained even into some of the highways in the country. Now, of course, you have the right-wing nuts doing their usual devil's advocate. Anything you say, we have to take the contrary opinion and saying, well, this is a parody, right? Oh, as far as they were concerned, that was just too far-fetched. And of course, what happened was you had an avalanche of people who educated these dim bulbs on what they didn't know. Clearly, Google and basic literacy is no friend of the right. Because if the fire, ready, aim crowd had bothered to actually do a little bit of reading, just a little bit, they would have known that Robert Moses, the most famous urban planner in American history, himself was notorious for how he structured the highways and byways of New York and gave a model to other states for how to use infrastructure as a means to corral and otherwise control the movements of black people and even demolish black enclaves. Robert Moses was the patron saint of weaponizing infrastructure against black people. People started going ahead and chronicling this stuff. Now, the main thing happens to be, the marginalization of black people, it doesn't just stop at redlining. You had the cities and the states who were arranging themselves and building the very masonry in a way that was meant to shut black people out. That's how the highway systems were designed. It's a matter of black people's neighborhoods must be destroyed. The white ones, well, we need urban renewal, and it needs to be done in a way that improves the standard of living for the people who live there. We're certainly not going to be displacing them. Infrastructure has been used as a weapon in this country for a very, very, very long time. There was this contractor who was all over on Fox News and right-wing radio saying that he could build Donald Trump's border wall faster and cheaper than the U.S. government could. But the main thing that got me about it that I don't think got anywhere near as much attention as it should have. Do you know what that guy does, what his company actually does? His company, Fisher Sand and Gravel, they aren't a company that builds walls. They normally do is they build highways. And I've been thinking about this ever since last year when I heard about that. This guy's company builds highways. They don't build walls. So why was it that this guy, just taking him as a case study, why was it that a guy who builds highways, why would he even think that he should be building walls? Even he should have thought, man, I'd be a weird fit for a project like this, except he didn't think that. He thought, I'm your guy. I'm the one you need to be talking to. Now, why is that? It's because of the legacy of Robert Moses. A good example would be the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago. It separates the white enclave of Bridgeport from the black folks who are on the east side of it. You also have others like LBJ in Dallas. I mean, that thing's got so many doggone walls and barriers and such. I'm sitting here going, man, I think Dallas must have half the concrete on the planet poured into their little highways there. And these things are several lanes across. And it's not just one continuous highway across, not flat. It's got drop-offs, big old walls, and it's just like, god dang, how does anybody get over that? And that's the point. The guys who have been building the highways were built and originally designed by people like Robert Moses to be a racial barrier, racial walls meant to keep black folks out, meant to keep black folks contained. That's been their primary purpose. Their secondary purpose is as a means for your car to get from point A to point B. But the primary purpose is to carve up the city, to keep certain folks, black folks, contained. They are so hostile, so violent and aggressive, they take roads and turn roads into weapons of racism. They didn't weaponize the highways against Asians or Hispanics or against religious minorities. They didn't do it against the Jews or the Presbyterians or the Moonies or whomever. They did it specifically against black people. And you see that the most egregious examples of this are coming not merely from the red states. We expect the Republicans to do that, but you notice how the so-called opposition party, New York City, Chicago, these places are doing the doggone same thing. So you got to stay on your guard. Because there's a whole bunch of little Robert Moses running around out there now, not just the clowns at your local city planning office. These idiots are at all levels. It's our job to do a little bit of urban planning of our own. Only this time, our road to the future is going to run right over them.